Hello everyone, this is Mind Unchained again, and I welcome you to my second session of my podcast series, which I lately decided to call Podcasts on Science and Rationality. I chose so since science, or at least scientificness, as I prefer to call it, is the only method of gathering objective knowledge in regard of the world we live in. But why do I say this? Isn't this narrow-minded and therefore just another kind of faith? Even another religion? The answer is clearly no, it is not. The definition I have in mind is the following citation from Wilfrid Sellars' famous essay Empiricism and the Philosophy of Mind. Empirical knowledge, like its rational extension, science, is rational not because it has a foundation, but because it is a self-correcting enterprise which can put any claim in jeopardy, though not all at once. There is no standard edition, but you can look the citation up easily because it is at the end of section Roman 8, section Arabic 38. As the definition has it, science is meant to fully exploit the capacity of thought. The limits are quite obvious. We can abandon with many a proposition, and yet we cannot abandon with each at the same time, for it is an empirical fact that we can but hold at least a certain set of beliefs. It isn't even possible to only hold one belief, for a belief is always interconnected with other beliefs. One cannot set up a complete list of beliefs hanging necessarily together, of course, since one cannot count beliefs. If you do not believe me, just ask yourself how many beliefs you hold and try to bring it down to a determinate number. If, for instance, you assert to the proposition that there is a cat, you must also assert to the proposition that the cat is somewhere, that it has 4 legs, the further properties x, y, z, and so forth. The important thing about science, though, is that it need not stick to any proposition dogmatically. Scientists may, needless to say, do this, and this is why I prefer to call, whereby one ought to orientate oneself, scientificness, as against what one does is science. This allows for the empirical fact that science can go wrong, or even bad, because scientists are human beings making mistakes too. I neither do nor want to deny that science can be misused in the wrong people's hands. The National Socialists were, to be sure, a bundle of misuses of science for their evil and partly purely sadistic purposes. I shall spare you the horrors of describing the details. Science can give you might, and, as I pointed out in the introduction to the series, at least tends to corrupt its holders. On the other hand, the National Socialists also introduced old Germanic rituals and ceremonies, especially Heinrich Himmler had a strong favour for this sort of thing. Here, another historical fact, often being ignored by accusers like the incumbent Pope, becomes conspicuous. Hitler and many of his followers were not atheists. To be sure, Hitler did not believe in a personal God, but he believed in his being chosen by fate. You may look this up in Joachim Fest's, a German historian, extensive biography of Hitler at the beginning of the 3rd book's 1st chapter. I only own the original German edition, yet I searched and found an English edition on Amazon, so you can easily check this evidence too if you do not speak German. The most important fact about science is that it is not intrinsically bad. It is an intrinsically neutral method of finding truth with the potential of becoming bad. Religion, on the other hand, is an intrinsically bad method of dictating what truth is, with the potential of becoming good. On the face of it, this is an utmost provocative thesis, yet I have thought about this for a long time, and my reasons are as follows. The foundation of each religion is Scripture. Every religion has its sacred scriptures whereon people base their faith. Now, it is an undeniable fact that most religions' scriptures approve of violence, rapture, murder, manslaughter, cruelty, and mercilessness. Christopher Hitchens has written about this in his famous book, God is Not Great. However, you need not even consult his book if you want to check this. Just go and read the Bible, the Quran, or any other holy scripture you like, but don't you give in to the temptation of quote mining. Citations of sacred scriptures are often given in this manner, that is, without referring to the right context. Jesus' teachings, for example, need to be understood in this way. Jesus was a Jew, and as a Jew, he spoke to Jews. In this context, he utters his famous sentence, "Love thy neighbor as thyself." Well, the exact lines are these. Leviticus 19:18 says, "Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord." Now, who is a Jew's neighbor, whom he shall love as himself? Another Jew, of course. Jews were a minority in those days, as they are likely to be in many regions in the world today, and they could not afford fighting among themselves. The tribe needs to hold together. Thus, Leviticus 19:34 does not extend this love to people outside the tribe. It only extends it to strangers who choose to live among the Jews. It says, "But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." The Jews needed every single person to support them. It does not say they should love everyone else too. In fact, they are supposed to not do so. James 2:8-9 says, "If ye fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, ye do well. But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin, and are convinced of the law as transgressors." Read in this context, Jesus' teachings do not sound as what they are often interpreted, do they? Now, religion is, as I said, an intrinsically bad method of dictating what truth is with the potential of becoming good. This is what we actually see in Western countries. One cannot deny that there are many faithful people, many faithful communities who disapprove of violence and who are thoroughly peaceful. We must distinguish these faithful people who believe in a deity that differs from monotheistic one, though. This is faith, not religion. As regards religion, one cannot choose what to believe in, for it is dictated what one must believe. Otherwise, one is a sinner to be punished and, according to some religions, though not all, will go to hell. So, to summarize this session's results, science and religion both can be bad. The difference, however, is that science is an intrinsically neutral method of finding truth, which can become bad in the wrong people's hands. Against this, religion is an intrinsically bad method of dictating what is true, which can become good when it changes to faith, that is, when people begin to choose what to believe in. The neutralness of science, on the one hand, is owing to the principle of scientificness as formulated by Wilfrid Sellars, while, on the other hand, religion is intrinsically bad because its foundation is scriptures which approve of violent behavior, tribalism, and so on. Thank you very much for listening.